Hello there, Scapers. My name is Zenevilius, and welcome to my Castle Wars strategy guide. I believe this is my fourth Trim Completionist guide. I hope you guys have enjoyed the series so far. And Castle Wars is by far the longest trim requirement. It takes like half a lifetime to complete, and any time saved doing this requirement is precious. It's very precious. So that's what this guide is mainly going to be focused on, trying to save you guys time and also make sure you guys don't quit from the boredom of this requirement by giving you guys some advice about how I managed to do it without getting too bored or too bogged down. Anyway, so the trim requirement, what is it? It's to wear a full set of profound decorative armor and talk to Atlantis, who's the guy at Castle Wars. And this costs 4,150 gold tickets or 47.7k Thaler. This takes much less time than it used to. The trim requirement used to be 5k Castle Wars games, which was unbelievable, but thankfully this requirement is much less. And how much time does it take? Well, it depends on your strategy. If you win half your games or you tie every single game, then it will take between 600 to 1200 hours. If you win every game, it will take between 500 to 750 hours. And if you win every game with enhancers, it will take less than 400 hours. So that will all be explained later on. And yeah, let's get into the reason for this guide. Well, the main reason for it is that there is a very special event coming up, very special overlap. It's a bit like all the planets of the solar system aligning themselves. It's quite a rare event, and it's the annual minigame weekend event as part of the winter weekends, which coincides, well, for half of it at least, with the Castle Wars Spotlight, which is happening as we speak. And tomorrow is going to be the day to make use of this overlap. So you have 36 hours between the end of, well, the second half of the 30th of December until the clock ticks over to New Year, basically. So 36 hours to make use of this overlap. I'll talk more about this in a minute, but how does Castle Wars work? Well, if you guys don't remember, it is one of the easiest, simplest minigames in RS. Essentially, it's a capture the flag game. There are two teams, Saradomin and Zamorak, and the team with the more successful flag captures in 20 minutes wins, and there is nothing you can do to make it less than 20 minutes, unlike Pest Control, for example. It is a 20-minute game. You have to stay there for 20 minutes. There are 3 minutes of lobby, and that's a cycle. So 20 minutes of game time followed by 3 minutes of lobby, and that repeats infinitely. Gold tickets are only awarded if you're logged in for 10 minutes at least in the game and not in the lobby area of the game, or not in the lobby area, not lobbied within RS itself and not lobbied within Castle Wars either. And finally, you have to have at least 5 people on both sides at some point in time in the game. Not necessarily throughout the game, but at some point in time. And Thaler is awarded at 1 per consecutive minute online until the end of the game, or 1 per 5 minutes if you're not on Spotlight. And lobbying resets this timer, as with every other minigame. So when you log back in after lobbying into the game, then your timer is restarted. So for example, if you lobby when there is 1 minute left in the game and you log in, then you will only get to 1 Thaler if it's Spotlight. Even if you were logged in for like 19 minutes before and you lobbied and you DC'd for 1 minute, you'll lose all your Thaler. Unfortunate, I know, but that's the way it works. And people take advantage of the way the gold tickets work in order to do win games. I'll talk about that in a bit. There are different FCs for it, but essentially you want to join a win game FC only to do all your games. Otherwise, you will be taking hundreds of extra hours than you need to. So you want to win every game. The FC I used will be in the description alongside a video guide for it and application for it. So there are more FCs out there. You don't have to join one FC. What I'd say is it takes a bit of time to get used to the FC because there are specific rules in place to make sure everyone wins, or almost everyone wins, and that will take time to get used to. So don't be afraid if you find it daunting at first, but once you get used to it, it's very simple. Also, you want to loot Motherlode more every single day for enhancers, either Castle Wars or unfocused reward enhancers, and you want to stack these up and use these up as fast as you can, because each enhancer will give you an extra 2 tickets per charge if you win games. So that's an extra 40 gold tickets. That is priceless. Or if it's an unfocused reward enhancer, that's an extra 20 gold tickets per enhancer. You also want to maximize the time spent during Castle Wars Spotlights, and so you want to plan ahead. This is because you get 5 times the normal amount of Thaler per spotlight, and Castle Wars spotlights occur every 8 to 10 cycles or every 24 to 30 days. There's a minigame calendar in the description below if you want to check that out to plan ahead. As a rule of thumb, it happens every 3 to 4 weeks ish, so basically every month, just under every month, which is really good. And you're better off doing Castle Wars off spotlight than camp spotlighted minigames if you're thinking about it, because remember, you still get 1/5 of the spotlighted amount of Thaler if you do Castle Wars off spotlight, and you get gold tickets. So it is much better to do Castle Wars off spotlight than camp minigames that are spotlighted, which isn't Castle Wars. And finally, I'd say mentally prepare for the grind, because it is going to be a pretty long grind, and if you're not actually prepared for it, it will seem like a grind, and when it starts seeming like a grind, that's when you're not going to be able to get through to the end. It's going to feel really long, it's going to feel really boring, and yeah, I'd say you need dual monitors if you want to watch something while getting on with this requirement. Maybe also have some timers in place depending on your FC strategy, have some schoolwork or some other stuff to do. Never be in a situation where you're staring at your Castle Wars game and watching the clock tick down to 0 minutes, because that is not a position you want to be in if you want to get through hundreds of hours of this to get your trim requirement done. Also make use of special events such as the annual minigame weekend or any future squeal promotions if that actually happens. It might actually happen more frequently than once every year as well, depending on Jagex's promotions and things like that, so look out for that. Now it's time to get into the numbers and to do some number crunching. So I've got 6 different scenarios I want to present to you guys that you guys might want us to follow, and in all these scenarios I'll talk about the least amount of time you will need to spend at Castle Wars in order to get this requirement done. So scenario number 1, doing 50-50 games on Spotlight, so either being on World 24 and doing the green portal, which is not a method I'd recommend because it's not very consistent, or doing tie games, which quite a few FCs still do, or whatever else that will yield you 50% wins and 50% losses, or 100% ties. Scenario 2 is the same thing, not on Spotlight, so 1/5 of that number of Thaler per hour, so you get 20 Thaler per game, which corresponds to 52 Thaler per hour on Spotlight, or 10.4 per hour not on Spotlight, and this method assumes you get 1 gold ticket per game. So you do 2.6 games an hour, so you will get 2.6 gold tickets an hour. Scenario 3 and 4 are the same, but assuming you win every single game. And especially with MyFC, because of the method we use, we don't actually get 20 Thaler per game on Spotlight when we're doing win games. We only get 15, and this is because we lobby for a bit. We only log in for 15 consecutive minutes. On average, I'd say, possibly slightly less as well. So you only get 39 Thaler per game or per hour on Spotlight if you're doing win games, and 7.8, which is 1/5 of that if you're not on Spotlight. But on the upside, you get double the number of gold tickets, so 5.22 gold tickets an hour if you're doing win games only. So scenario 1, I guess some people may want to do it, but I really wouldn't recommend it because, like I said, win games is what you want to do to minimize the number of hours you want to spend here. But anyway, with this method, you will need to spend 614 hours. You will need to buy 2 of either the leg, the sword, or the shield with tickets, because you'll have 1600 tickets at this point, and you can buy everything else with Thaler. With scenario 2, which is the most inefficient use of your time, you'll be doing this method not on Spotlight. It will take you almost exactly twice as long. Basically, you'll buy the top with Thaler and you'll buy everything else with tickets, so 12,657 Thaler, literally just passing the requirement for buying the top with Thaler and buying everything else with tickets. Wouldn't recommend it, but there you go, that's there anyway, just to show you guys how long you need to spend and how much of your life you need to waste away. But anyway, scenario 3, this is the best case scenario, not necessarily something you can do all the time, because, well, spotlights only happen once every month, so it's not really ideal. But if you follow this, then it will only take you 489 hours or around 1300 games, and you'll be able to get 2 items with Thaler, 2 out of leg, sword or shield, and the remaining 3 items you can get with tickets. So this is a very good scenario, a very good strategy to follow. Just do Castle Wars on Spotlight, I mean that literally, so stay in front of your monitor for 72 hours in a row during Spotlight. Not recommended, but if you do decide to follow it, it'll be the most efficient use of your time. And scenario 4 is when you do the same thing, so win games not on Spotlight, and it will take you 740 hours. And we have something new here. So there's a thing called a detailed set of armor that you can buy using Thaler, and if you actually analyze it, it's actually the worst value for Thaler, because you need to spend more Thaler to get one gold ticket than with any other piece. You need to spend 11.57 Thaler to get one gold ticket if you do the maths. So I wouldn't recommend it, but it turns out if you follow scenario 4, then you won't really get much Thaler, and you can only really afford to buy one detailed set using Thaler, and you convert that into gold tickets, and you can buy everything with gold tickets after you do that. And this will take you 740 hours or around 1900 games. Now we have two new scenarios I'd like to talk about, and scenario 5 is the most likely scenario because this is where I've averaged the Thaler over time, taking into account the fact that there are 3 days of Castle Wars spotlights for every 27 days on the calendar. So if you take this into account and you don't look specifically at doing spotlighted Castle Wars or non-spotlighted Castle Wars, you just do Castle Wars whenever and you're winning every game, then this is the most likely strategy you're going to follow, and this will take you 671 hours. You'll just about have enough Thaler to buy the helmet, and you'll need to buy that. You can buy everything else with gold tickets, and it will take you around 1750 games. This is the most likely scenario, and it's basically the one I followed because I didn't really, well, I did do spotlight slightly more than I did non-spotlight, but it's not like I was like, oh, I'm camping 72 hours of spotlight this spotlight and I'm not going to do Castle Wars for the rest of the month until the next spotlight. I basically did it whenever I had time. So this is the scenario I followed, I'd say. But also scenario 6. Scenario 6 assumes you have enhancers for all of your requirements. So you have enhancers for 965 games worth, which is highly unlikely unless you've been saving up every single day since the start of Mudload More in November 2014 or whenever it was. Essentially, if you happen to be lucky enough with these enhancers, then you will reduce your time even more, and these enhancers are worth a lot because gold tickets are more valuable than Thaler. So you want to maximize the number of gold tickets you can get per hour, and with this method you will get 10.4 gold tickets an hour because you'll get 4 per game, and it will only take you 370 hours with this method. Again, because you'll be doing it so quickly, you won't accumulate enough Thaler to be able to buy anything except a decorative set, so you'll need to swap that out for gold tickets and buy out everything with gold tickets, and that will take you just under 1000 games on 370 hours. And like I said, I followed scenario 5 mostly and scenario 6 for a little bit, and with that combination I managed to get my requirement done in 1490 games, which isn't too bad at all. I actually bought the top with Thaler, that cost me 12,650, and I bought everything else with gold tickets, so that cost me what, 3,050 gold tickets. So that's exactly what I did. But my FC wasn't 100% win game FC. It was like, well, depending how long you played consecutively, it was like 90%, 95% win games. So yeah, don't take that like at face value, take it with a pinch of salt. It will depend a lot on the FC you use and how much time you can dedicate and the strategy they follow. But yeah, having talked about the 6 different scenarios, I just want to give you guys some closing advice. So like I said, number 1, maximize your time spent at Castle Wars during spotlights, and you will need to plan ahead for this and take time out of IRL if you're serious about this trim requirement anyway. If you're not serious, you take your own time, but if you're serious about it, that's what you need to do. Use enhancers as soon as you get them. There's no advantage to saving up for spotlight with these enhancers. It doesn't matter, literally doesn't matter. Just use them up as soon as you can so that you get a little morale boost. I find that I do Castle Wars for longer as long as I have enhancers because I don't know, I just feel better about spending my time when I have enhancers, and that can help with the morale quite a bit. You also want to do your Barbarian Assault and your Mobilizing Armies trim requirements before the Castle Wars requirement to save up some Thaler. No one really plays these mini games outside of Spotlight, so you're in luck. You will get quite a bit of Thaler by doing these. I've also got a Mobilizing Armies requirement, trim requirement guides if you want to watch that. And finally, well not finally, but one of the most important points is that you want to make Castle Wars a way of life. It will take some time. It may sound a bit cheesy or whatnot, whatever you want to call it, but once you do Castle Wars enough, it will become a part of your daily routine, and for this you'll actually need to keep doing it. You can't take long breaks because then it will start feeling strange again. Once this happens, you won't even notice you're doing Castle Wars. I'll tell you, that can be both a blessing and a curse, but you won't actually notice you're doing Castle Wars because you're doing everything, your work, your leisure activities, everything alongside Castle Wars, especially if you have dual monitors or a laptop or something like that you can carry around. And that is a key point if you want to make sure you have the morale, you have the fuel to keep going. Because I'm not an XP person and I don't grind for XP, but if you do, you probably know what I'm talking about. If you do something for long enough, you start enjoying it, you start thinking of it as a grind much less. But anyway, that's something you guys might be familiar with, those people who've got 200 mils and things, who've grinded out double XP weekend and things like that. You also want to get timings in your memory if you can, and by timings I mean the timings of how Castle Wars works, how long you can AFK, how long you have to pay attention for, things like that. With FCI you usually can AFK for about 17 minutes out of every 23 minute cycle. You need to pay quite a bit of attention for the remaining 6 minutes or so, that will depend on your FC. Of course you need to wiggle your mouse once every 5 minutes so you don't lobby when you're not doing much, when you're just standing around. You also need to actually move the flag around as well because you need to have one capture higher than your opposition in order to win games, so that will be part of your FC strategy. And last but not least, don't leave it till the end. This is something that's from personal experience. A lot of people have left it till the end, have left this requirement till the end, and they've suffered quite a bit, but they've got through it. But I wouldn't do that. I've completed it. It's been about 2 months since I completed this requirement, 2 or 3 months, and I mixed it up with quite a few trim requirements. It took me about 2 years to get this requirement done, about a year of doing it really casually, and about a year of doing it reasonably seriously. So yeah, that's all I really have to say. Hope you guys enjoyed it and you found it useful. Good luck with your minigame weekends, whether you're doing Castle Wars or something else, and I will see you in the next one.
I'll take the